The Citizens Environmental Coalition is an alliance of diverse, nonprofit, governmental, and educational organizations whose activities impact our environment and quality of life in the Houston-Galveston area. Our greater than 100 member organizations cover a broad spectrum, including professional associations, conservation groups, and activists. Each year, we host the Synergy Awards to recognize local individuals and organizations for their notable environmental projects and achievements. The winners are chosen from nominations made by the environmental community at large. This year, we are delighted to honor the following individuals who have each made impressive contributions to our community. This year's Army and Sarah Emmott Conservation Award goes to Jaime Gonzalez with the Katy Prairie Conservancy and Flo Hanna with the Houston Audubon Society. Jaime and Flo were both instrumental in the native plant rescue events held at Saums Road Prairie during the summer of 2008. Native grasses and wildflowers were relocated from this site before its destruction for a development project and transported to sites across the city of Houston to create small pocket prairies. The purpose of the pocket prairies is to educate visitors on the value of coastal prairies in our native ecosystem. The project has created several beautiful pocket prairies, each a magnet for wild butterflies, dragonflies, and other insects beneficial to birds. The goal is to encourage visitors to these pocket prairie sites to include more native plants in their own landscaping projects. With Houston's accelerated rate of growth, biodiversity is being lost at a rapid pace. The Nature Conservancy has labeled coastal prairies globally imperiled. The pocket prairies are small, but they can serve as seed banks for future restoration projects. The efforts of Jaime and Flo have also led to the creation of the Coastal Prairie Partnership, the first local group dedicated to the conservation of coastal prairies. This year's winner of the government award is Andy Sipocz, wetlands biologist with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. Andy has spent his career creating and conserving wetlands in the Gulf Coast area. Andy's work epitomizes synergy, sparkling collaboration at a grand scale. We will describe just two of his notable projects. The first is a series of wetland ponds along Bayou constructed to detain and remove pollutants from stormwater. Monitoring of the water on site has demonstrated that the wetland is cleaning up the water as designed. Oxygen levels are improved and bacteria levels have decreased by 99% since the construction of the wetland. Second, the Sheldon Lake State Park has restored approximately 500 acres of old rice fields with native prairie and marsh. Andy developed a process using historic photos and modern soil studies to determine the original configuration of Sheldon's prairie marshes. Volunteers using locally collected and grown plants have now restored the site. The same technique can be used to restore prairie and wetland to some of the hundreds of thousands of acres of former rice fields on the Texas and Louisiana coasts. This year's Corporate Awareness Award goes to Keatingrove Farms. Keatingrove Farms is the only certified organic farm in Harris County. At this farm, local residents have the opportunity to purchase seasonal, locally grown organic produce. As a USDA certified organic farm, Keatingrove has met rigorous requirements, including 3 years with no application of prohibited materials such as synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, or genetically modified organisms. In addition, they must keep detailed records of all of the products used on the farm, create an overall plan for the farm, and undergo regular inspections. Keatingrove Farms is known for their heirlooms and unique varieties. This is valuable because recent decades have seen a serious decline in the range of vegetables and fruit varieties grown on farms and in gardens worldwide. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, crop genetic resources are being lost at the rate of 1 to 2% per year. Keatingrove Farms and others who cultivate heirloom varieties are working to safeguard genetic diversity and the ecological health of food crops. This year's winner of the government award is Juan Parras, founder of Texas Environmental Justice Advocacy Services. For more than 30 years, Juan Parras has been a voice for low-income minorities through his work as an international union representative, anti-pollution activist, and community outreach coordinator. His work has been particularly vital to the Latino community in the East End and along the Houston Ship Channel. He's been described as the hardest working person in Houston's environmental justice movement, a person who has spent days from morning to night walking in a community and organizing families at risk to speak out against the pollution they face. Of particular note is Juan's work in the Manchester community, situated next to the oil refineries of the city of Pasadena. The community there turns to Juan when they're facing new problems. Juan is always willing to hold a community meeting and work as a facilitator between the community and businesses or local governments. Recently, with the help of the UTMB Epidemiology Department, Juan was able to collect 50 blood samples from members of the Manchester community, which will be compared to blood samples from another local control community. This study may be pivotal in giving legal weight to the health problems that Manchester residents are facing. Juan still faces enormous odds in the fight for environmental justice, but we know he'll be tireless in overcoming these odds. We are delighted to announce Frank Smith as the winner of this year's Lifetime Achievement Award. Frank has been a leader of Houston's environmental organizations since the early 60s, when he joined Terry Hershey to fight the channelization of Buffalo Bayou. This successful effort resulted in the formation of the Bayou Preservation Association. In 1972, Miss Ima Hogg called upon Frank and 3 others to look after a memorial park when she was no longer able to do so. They formed the Memorial Park Advisory Committee and worked to preserve the park for future generations. As the Bayou Preservation Association president in 1974, Frank worked to establish the Armand Bayou Nature Center. Frank was then the second president of the Nature Center, which led him to a term as the chairman of the Texas Nature Conservancy and a year as president of the Rice Design Alliance. A lifetime interest in sailing and boating also prompted him to join with others in founding the Galveston Bay Foundation in the late 80s. Frank Smith has truly been pivotal in Houston's environmental movement. Yolanda Green is one of the winners of this year's Media Award for her work on Going Green with Yolanda Green, a weekly half-hour program highlighting businesses, commercial products, government programs, and local initiatives that are making significant strides in ensuring our communities are eco-friendly. The show covers green issues in a way that is both informative and entertaining. Yolanda's work brings conservation initiatives to a whole new and much broader audience. She covers topics ranging from the new smart grid technology to invasive species to composting. All episodes of Going Green can be viewed on the Channel 39 website, and the show airs every Saturday at noon and Sunday at 10 a.m. on Channel 39. Matthew Tresaugue has also won this year's Media Award for his work in the Houston Chronicle. His well-researched and detailed articles cover some of the most controversial environmental topics, from the political landscape surrounding air quality issues to fishing quotas to the local impacts of climate change. Within the last year, Matthew's articles have quoted experts from many CEC member groups including GASP, Houston Audubon Society, Galveston Bay Foundation, and Children at Risk. These days, it's well known that the newspaper industry overall is losing staff writers and slashing all kinds of coverage in the face of declining readership and advertising revenues. We are grateful that the Chronicle still values the kind of fine environmental reporting that Matthew does. He is uniquely qualified for these difficult environmental stories, and his articles are more important now than ever before. The American Institute of Architects and Rice Design Alliance share this year's Sustainable Planning Award for their joint project, the 99K House Competition, a national two-stage competition to encourage the development of a house with as many sustainable features as possible within the constraints of a $99,000 budget. Both AIA and RDA have made consistent efforts in all of their activities and programs to highlight the advantages of responsible, sustainable construction, and the 99K House Competition was a successful and tangible project that highlighted these efforts. The competition garnered 184 entries from national and international designers, creating nationwide awareness that Houston is serious about sustainability. The winning design of the 99K House Competition has been built and incorporates many sustainable features, including rapidly renewable materials, rainwater harvesting, and natural ventilation. It will be sold to a low-income family. This successful partnership between AIA and RDA should be celebrated as an example to other organizations. Josetta Hawthorne, Executive Director of the Council for Environmental Education, is the winner of this year's Environmental Education Award. One of Josetta's most important projects is a national urban environmental education program called WET in the City. This program is a multidisciplinary, hands-on urban water education curriculum that engages K-12 students in explorations of the science of water and complex issues surrounding its management and stewardship. The WET in the City program is designed to be distributed at the city level to teachers of urban youth, an audience typically underserved by environmental education. The WET in the City guide includes activities developed by the Council for Environmental Education to meet the water education needs of urban educators, including topics such as environmental justice, lead in drinking water, urban flooding, brownfields, and urban fishing. WET in the City challenges students to become responsible water stewards in their neighborhoods and communities. There are currently 12 participating schools in the Houston area and 2 in Galveston. We are delighted to honor Ann Hamilton with this year's President's Award, an award selected by the CEC Board President. Ann has had a long and distinguished career in nonprofit, with the last 18 years spent as a grant officer with the Houston Endowment. She has approved over $220 million in grants at the Houston Endowment, with the majority going to environmental nonprofits. Ann has been a steadfast and passionate supporter of CEC member groups and the CEC itself, and we are deeply grateful to her. Ann's commitment is reflected in the comments she made to the Environmental Grantmakers Association in the fall of 1998. Quote, "I believe large public and private institutions will begin to focus on serious environmental issues when they learn of the achievements local nonprofit organizations continue to make day after day, year after year, bringing communities together to solve problems in their own neighborhoods. This, after all, is the purest form of participatory democracy." End quote. We are pleased to announce that Ann Olson, president of the Buffalo Bayou Partnership, is the winner of this year's Founders Award. Buffalo Bayou Partnership oversees beautification and redevelopment activities along Houston's historic Buffalo Bayou waterway. Over the past 10 years, Ann and her board of directors have raised approximately $50 million for Buffalo Bayou's redevelopment. Currently, the organization is facilitating approximately $25 million worth of projects. Under Ann's leadership, the Buffalo Bayou Partnership has received a host of honors, including winning the International Waterfront Center Honor Award 2 times and the Central Houston Allen Award for Civic Enhancement. In 2008, in conjunction with the World Day of Design, Ann Olson and the Buffalo Bayou Partnership received an Alchemy Award for visionary and steadfast work to transform Houston's birthplace bayou.